So I'm getting super real with you guys today, and I'm going to talk about why I think my business failed. And there are several reasons. But I really debated sharing this because it's straight up embarrassing. But I think the best thing that we can do as entrepreneurs is learn from other people's mistakes and learn from our own mistakes. So that's what I'm going to be diving into today. Hey everyone, welcome to The Thread. My name is Kendall. Thank you so much for joining me today for another episode. I'm a former mentor for people starting their fashion brands from scratch. I had my own business for about 7 years, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm a Parsons graduate. So I have a lot to share with you guys today, and thank you for coming on this journey with me. Be sure to like and subscribe if you would like to see more. It helps me know that you want to see more content like this. So today, I'm going to talk about the probably numerous reasons why my clothing brand failed. Some were very much out of my control, and some were, things that were in my control that I could have done a little bit better. But I want to say up top that even though the headline or the title of this video is why my business failed, I don't actually consider it a failure. Like, I don't feel like I failed. I don't have some big story where I feel shame about it. I did a little bit leading up to closing my business, but once I closed and I've been able to reflect on that, I don't really feel any shame. I feel like a lot of people start businesses that don't work out. You live, you learn, you do your absolute best with what you have at the time. And this, my business failing, quote unquote, has helped me mentor other people, and it's helped me, with this channel to sharing all of my mistakes and all that stuff. So I don't feel like I failed. I learned a ton, and that's fine. And I know that if I ever come back and start another business, I'm going to do it a million times better because of what I've learned. So if you have also failed at a business, you don't need to feel bad. This kind of thing happens all the time, and we come back better and stronger, and it's all good. So let me get into my embarrassing reasons why my brand failed. So I launched my brand in the summer of 2017. It was called Vesta, and it was a minimalist, vegan, sustainable women's wear line. So at the time when I launched, there was not a lot of sustainable brands out there, if you can believe that. There were definitely not a lot of vegan-only brands out there, and I myself was a longtime vegetarian, and I had really been trying to shop for less animal products in general, and then I ended up working for a vegan brand in New York City, and it really showed me like there is a big market for this stuff. But I wanted to do something more than just like vegan slogan t-shirts. I wanted like everyday clothing, like nice dresses and things with, replacements for silk, replacements for, things that were animal products that were like an everyday thing, but a little bit elevated and a little also like minimalist. So that was kind of my idea at the time. I feel like there was a hole in the market, and I knew that because I myself had been trying to find a brand like mine, so that's why I started. So I launched in 2017. I'd been working on it for at least a year, solidly up until that point, and things went really well for the first few years. Like, I got some organic growth. I got featured in some publications. People were buying things. Alicia Silverstone got some things from me, which was very exciting. But then COVID hit, and it all took a huge turn. And I know I'm not the only one. Like, a ton of independent brands went downhill after COVID because it was so hard on small businesses in general. So let me just briefly go into the things that were completely out of my control, just so you'll know. So I had been working with a factory in Alabama, a made-to-order factory. So that's another thing I was doing that was unique, is I was made to order. And as far as I know, there was only one factory in the country doing made to order on a large scale, and that was the one I was working with. Well, at the end of 2020, I'm like, wow, I'm sailing through 2020. My sales haven't gone down that much. Like, I'm doing fine. I had a lunch that did pretty well. The end of 2020, however, the factory closed unexpectedly, and it was a huge bummer. I guess they had lost a big donor. This is what they said, and they couldn't sustain things anymore. They had probably lost a lot of business too during COVID, I would imagine. So then I transferred to one of the seamstresses there was going to start her own little factory there in town. So she was able to take my things without much interruption. So that was awesome. She took on my work. A few weeks later, they got hit by a tornado. I don't mean to laugh. It was just like all of the horrible things happening in succession. But they got hit by a tornado. I literally never heard from them again. I had all of my fabric and stuff there, and I had to get someone to go out and get my fabric for me because I couldn't get in contact with them. So then I transferred to another factory that would do made to order for me temporarily because the factory I had been working with originally wanted to relocate and get more funding and open up again. So in the meantime, I transferred this to this other factory in Arizona that was absolutely horrible. They did horrible work. I guess they had like a vaccine mandate and lost most of their employees, so they were stuck with like people that actually didn't know how to sew. I remember one time I ordered some samples just for myself, and they were the wrong size, wrong color, wrong fabric. I'm like, what have my customers been getting this whole time? They don't know what they're doing. That was horrible. Then the factory finally opened. The people I've been working with before, they finally opened in Phoenix at a new location, and oh my God, they promised me the world. Like, they had all this state-of-the-art stuff that was going to happen. Now I will never join at a very brand new factory because they usually do not have their act together, and that was the case here. I was with them for probably about 2 more years, and it was pretty horrible. Like, they took so long to get up and running. Once they did, because their idea was to take on large brands, so I always got put on the back burner, me and the other small brands, even though we've been with them for a long time. So for example, when you work with a factory, once you submit your tech pack, which tells them like what you want to make, they have to make a first time sample for you to approve. So, and then once you approve it, you're pretty much ready for production. Usually this takes a few weeks, maybe a month or 2 if the factory's like super backed up. One time I submitted something, it took them over 11 months to approve something for production. So my business was just going down the tubes. I could not release stuff in a timely manner. I wasn't like releasing anything. So this was one of the reasons why I was like, enough. I'm closing this brand. I am so fed up. I am so tired of just trying to push this boulder up a hill. And it was exhausting. And I wanted to keep doing made to order, and there was nowhere else for me to go. And I was like, that's it. That is it. I was also having a lot of just personal issues within my family, financially. My husband had lost his job for a long time. It was a hot mess. So you guys know when your financial security is threatened, you don't really have the creative juice to be creative in other areas of your life. So I had just completely lost all of the enthusiasm I had for my brand because it was so difficult on like a financial level. I was just struggling at that base level, and it makes it hard for you to be excited about things. It makes it hard to like want to be creative and come up with new designs and be working on that aspect. So those were the reasons why that were out of my control, why my brand could not survive anymore. So, but let me share with you now some things I could control that I could have done a lot better and that I will do better next time. So number one is I'm an only child. I like just being independent. I like working by myself to a little bit of a detrimental degree, I'd say, because my kind of goal was, and this might be weird, but I was like, I never want to have employees. I just want to do it all myself. As long as I'm outsourcing the production, I don't want to have to hire anybody. It's too much stress. It's like too much financially. I want to do this all myself. But as you can imagine, that is just too much for one person. I had too many different things going on all the time that I had to focus on, and not enough time because I had kids, of course. So you never get enough time. And there were a lot of those little things. You guys know, if you've ever had your own business, that if there's something you're not good at, if there's something you don't like doing, it gets put on the back burner and it like never comes off the back burner. And that was definitely the case for me. Off the top of my head, press outreach, PR. I hated doing this crap. I did not want to go, network with journalists and writers and blog owners. I didn't want to pitch myself to a million people, but this is something you really have to do if you want to get noticed. And I did have, some publications that I got recognized in. It was kind of organic though, like maybe they found out about me. I think I might have reached out to press like once, maybe twice, and that was like sending a few emails. And it was always in the back of my mind to do it and to learn more about it and to get better at it. And if you've done any research into like press outreach and PR, you have to be doing it on a regular basis. You can't just send an email and be like, they didn't get back to me. People will always say you have to follow up, and you have to follow up pretty often. Like every time you have a launch, reach out to this person. This is what I'm doing. And when you launch your brand, you should be heavily doing press outreach and stuff like that. I just failed miserably on that front. I don't like doing it, and I never really did it. Now, sometimes I think, what would have happened if I would have been better about that? Would I have gotten picked up by more press, or, maybe been in a magazine or something like that? You don't know, but it definitely wasn't going to happen with me just doing nothing. So in the future, I would definitely say this is something, if I recognize, I'm not doing something, I'm not getting this done, or I suck at this, you hire some help, for God's sakes. Like, if you're not going to get something done that needs to be done, hire some help, get it done, because there's going to be a million little things. And if you're too overburdened, you're going to drop the ball on a lot of those things. Okay, number 2, I feel that I compromised my vision a lot, and it was usually because of money or laziness. I'm going to be honest. I can be extremely lazy. It's like my Achilles heel. I compromise my vision a lot. I feel like I had this vision in mind for a brand, and I got to maybe 30% of that. The photo shoots, the fabric that I found, sometimes I'd be like, this is good enough for now. The website, oh my gosh. Thinking about my website, it could have been so much better, but I'm like, this is fine. This is fine. My branding, I usually did myself. It was pretty good. I did try to hire somebody and spent a lot of money to do my branding. Didn't like it. So that was a fail there. But instead of like pushing back or being like, I expected something better, or finding someone else, I just was like, I'm just going to scrap it. I'm just going to do it myself. I compromise my vision too often. I feel like I should have had the high standards that I had in the beginning. And it's okay to have high standards. They always say, start before you're ready. Like, just go ahead and launch it. Like, just get it out the door before you're ready. I have come to disagree with this. I really think that you usually get one shot to impress people, one shot to introduce your vision to the world, and it's not going to be perfect. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but can it be as close to your amazing vision as possible? This is something I always compromised on. Yeah, the photo shoots, they were pretty good. My first photo shoot was great. I feel like I nailed it on that one. But the rest of the photo shoots, I'm like, I'm just going to go with this person because they're cheaper and I kind of know them. And it never turned out like exactly what I wanted. You know what I mean? So in the future, if I do this again, I'm going to keep asking myself, is this what I envisioned? Is this as close to my vision as possible? If not, wait, maybe you need to wait 6 months or a year to save more money to really deliver something spectacular that is going to make you proud. Okay, number 3. Okay, this, I was thinking about how to explain this. I feel like, okay, as an elder millennial, I was born in 1982, I'm an elder millennial. I feel like when I started my brand as a sustainable brand, if you guys have followed like the sustainable brands that were all emerging like 2015, 2016, 2017, a little bit after that, like that pocket of 5 years, I didn't really realize this at the time, but all of us sustainable brands looked alike. And I'm telling you, I did not notice this. I did not really notice this until I was thinking about it recently. Because I thought, oh, we're all different. We're a little bit unique and different. But looking back, I'm like, we all had the same styles, okay? Like take, for example, the elastic waist pull-on cropped wide leg pants. Every sustainable brand had those, including myself. Let me scoot up. So I feel like I was delivering the style. That was one of my styles, one of my like core pieces. And sales started going down for this. And instead of being like, okay, maybe this style is not popular anymore, did I think that? No. I was like, oh, I need to push this harder. I need to do a new fabric, blah, blah, blah. I think it's just true that in the past few years, we've entered a completely new era of fashion. Gen Z is in charge of fashion now. Not to say that there aren't like tons of like older people or millennials like in charge of big fashion houses. That's not what I'm saying. But like the style has completely flipped. And I think that I was holding on to like this tired old style that people weren't wearing anymore. And I don't know why I didn't realize this until recently. So if I had this part to do over again, I would be super honest with myself. Okay, are sales going down? This is something people don't do enough. Actually go in on a regular basis, and even though you don't want to know, take a look at what's actually selling and what's not. And then ask yourself, is this a tired old style that needs to go? Or is there some other issue with it? Keep an eye on your best sellers. Keep an eye on what's not doing well anymore, and be honest. Sometimes you need to let things go. So if I was starting a brand again, I wouldn't just go with what's been done for the past 10 years. I would go with something a little more modern and be more like on the leading edge of trend setting rather than trend following. And now I kind of realize maybe my brand wasn't doing that well because not only the things that I've told you already, but maybe like I just didn't have it anymore. I didn't have the creative, like trend setting juice anymore. Okay, and number 4, I think this is a big one. I think that I was in a niche that got too saturated, and I wasn't offering solutions anymore because there was no problem. My original vision was like, oh, it's hard to find vegan stuff. It's hard to find like a silk alternative. So I used a lot of Cupro, which is like a silk alternative. It's hard to find like a sustainable minimalist brand that's not like just cotton basics or like slogan t-shirts, like I said. So I wanted to offer something that filled that void. After so many years, that wasn't really a problem anymore. Everyone and their mom has some sustainability component to their brand, even if it's not actually very legit. Like H&M has a sustainability component to their fabric, supposedly. Everyone does. Like everyone. So I was no longer offering something that's special, and people were not about to pay a premium price for something that wasn't that big of a deal anymore. Before, when I first launched, it was kind of special. Like people were like, oh, I'm really into like buying only sustainable and buying things that align with my values. I honestly think this might be a hot take, but I really don't think people care that much anymore. And maybe I'll do a video about this in the future. Let me know if you want that. But I just think sustainable fashion it's a bonus, and I think it's a responsibility for the designer to have a sustainable component to their brand, but it is not a selling point anymore. People are not going to go out of their way to pay, 3 times as much or 5 times as much for something just because it's sustainable. They don't care that much. I think we have, maybe COVID had something to do with it. I'm not sure, but I think we have like a caring fatigue. Like, we're so tired of caring, and there's too much stuff out there. We just want to pick what's easy. We just want to pick what's affordable. So yeah, I think my niche was just not a niche anymore. It wasn't a problem anymore that I had to solve. So I think doing it over again, I would take a good hard look at what people really care about. Where can I get in there? Where can I offer a real solution? Maybe it's an innovative product. Maybe it's a new angle on something. Be sure to watch my video on finding a niche about that if you're interested. But yeah, I think that overall, those were my main issues, and probably more will come up because I'm having revelations all the time as I kind of reflect on this. Like, what can I learn from this? So maybe more will come up, and I'll do a part 2 if that happens. But I hope this helped you somewhat to maybe not make the same mistakes in your business. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and coming on this journey with me, like I said. If you got anything out of this video, like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. It really helps me a ton. So I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.